Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Lyoko Retrospectives, and today we're going to be discussing episode 44 of Lyoko, Vertigo. So, the premise for this episode is, well, after the group does a little explores Carthage a bit more and manages to get to the designated terminal in there, they manage to get some data and they manage to get some virus data, which Jeremy believes could be the baseline for the virus that's infected Aelita. And as such, if he can crack it, then he can use it as a baseline to create an antivirus and cure Aelita, which of course he manages to do. But Aelita ends up getting a bit impatient and decides that she wants to get injected right then and there. As such, she goes down to the virtualization chamber and has it injected, and for the most part, it seems to work. As when it's installed, she seems fine, and for a while, everything seems up and up. So they think, well, then this means they can just deactivate the supercomputer, correct? Turns out the antivirus has some bugs. As time goes on, Aelita starts feeling a bit out of it, and it turns out the reason for this is because the virus begins affecting her as it turns her invisible. She's still otherwise fine, it's just that that's the only problem. To make matters worse, the group ends up Xana launches another attack, and in this case, Xana ends up possessing like a group of wolves and sicks them on the group. Eventually, unfortunately, this does not. So, as a result, they have to divert. As a result, the group is kind of pinned down in the woods while leaving Jeremy and Aelita take care of the problem. So, in Lyoko, Aelita is fine, and they just have to find a way to take out the antivirus. They take out the antivirus since it's still bugged up, and ultimately they do, which they ultimately do. Jeremy sends Aelita in first to deactivate the tower, and she's able to find it rather easily. It's just that she can't get in. It turns out that another side effect of the antivirus is that it changed her personal code so greatly that the tower doesn't even recognize her, so she can't even get in. Which I think is a little dumb, considering that literally anybody on Lyoko can get into the towers, save for the monsters, but whatever, she's now barred out, which means when the Schizozoa arrives, she doesn't really have anywhere she can run to. Eventually, Yumi and Odd manage to get to the factory while Ulrich stays behind to deal with the wolves. And they manage to save Aelita. They manage to save Aelita before the Schizozoa can take her memory, and they do manage to uninstall the virus. And they do manage to uninstall the antivirus and deactivate the tower. At which point, well, and just in time too, as the wolves were getting ready to maul Ulrich. But they thankfully don't do a lot of damage before the tower is deactivated, and Yumi, worried for Ulrich, tells Jeremy to do a return to the past. So, yeah. That's kind of the main plot, but none of that really has to do with the title of the episode. The actual title of the episode has to do with the B plot. In this case, it turns out Ulrich has vertigo. If he pretty much can't deal with when dealing with high spaces, he starts getting dizzy. He starts getting dizzy, can't focus, and eventually he falls. I'm just gonna say this right now. That subplot is kind of a flaw in the episode. It's not that Ulrich has vertigo. That's not a big problem. It's a nice to have. Characters aren't perfect, and it's nice to see them suffer from something. Sorry, my dog's right there, and he looks like, yep, he jumped off the bed. But at the same time, the vertigo really doesn't have much to do with the plot. I think it's only relevant in the entire episode for 2 scenes. Its initial introduction and 1 scene when the group is running away from the wolves. Otherwise, wherein the group had to climb some rocks to try and get away from them, and Ulrich's vertigo was starting to get the best of him. Otherwise, it really has nothing to do with the story, and it kind of surprises me that the episode is actually named for it, even though it literally has nothing to do with anything. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Dog wanted something. Okay, anyway, but yeah, like I was saying, that is kind of a problem with the episode. The vertigo stuff, the stuff with Ulrich having vertigo, isn't really that relevant. It does lead to Ulrich getting a blow to his pride and running away to the woods to sulk, which is why the group is in the woods as they learn about the antivirus and go to tell him, and they figure out he's in the woods because it's Ulrich. And while he's still initially pissy when they go to see him, it's clear he's doing better than earlier. Getting better at dealing with the blows to his pride than earlier in the season, because he actually is more willing to talk to them, and still and even admits, I'm not at 100%, but he's not 100%. He's not just angry at them for no reason just because they saw him screw up. Which, yeah, that's actually good. That's character development. I like that. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, my dog's an ass. Anyways, I was saying, yeah, it's, again, character development with Ulrich actually being more willing to talk to the group. But yeah, the Vertigo stuff, despite being what the episode is named for, has kind of nothing to do with the story. The main story is more involved with Aelita and the antivirus, which even then it just adds it's kind of, I don't really know what to describe it. The antivirus comes across like a nuisance because it screws with Aelita. It pretty much just acts as another obstacle to overcome in the challenge of the episode, which is again to stop Xana's attack as he's possessed the pack of wolves. Otherwise, it just acts as another obstacle, turning Aelita invisible in the real world and preventing her from just going to the tower and deactivating it in Lyoko. As a result, it's there to help keep the season moving forward, because if they just got the antivirus right then and there, it'd just be over. There'd be no more show. But it's just there to act as an obstacle. And on top of that, I think another problem is Xana's attack in this episode is kind of lackluster. There's nothing grand or large about it. There's no one being possessed that they know who has grand powers. He's possessed a pack of wolves, which, to be fair, you don't fuck with a pack of wolves. You just don't. You run away from a pack of wolves, and they are vicious. But the problem is, it feels like Xana kind of felt sorry for them after a while. Like, after Yumi and Odd get away and get to the factory to help Aelita, Ulrich stays behind and keeps the wolves busy, eventually running away to the factory with the wolves chasing after. Well, when he gets to the factory, he ends up falling over and spraining his ankle, which causes him to get a limp. So, rather than Xana jumping on the opportunity to just attack him, Xana just kind of follows him. I guess you could say it's him enjoying the thrill of the hunt, but you see them. Like, he's just limping into the factory, and the wolves are just calmly following after. It almost makes me think that Xana just felt pity for him. It's like in the beginning, it's like, I'm gonna eat you alive, and then he just gets the sprain. It's like, you got a sprain there. You're not gonna run as fast. And what makes it even better, when Ulrich does get into the factory, he tries using the line, but then he loses his grip and falls, which hurts him further. So the wolves come behind, and the implication is that they're getting ready to maul him right then and there, but all they're really doing is just sniffing at him, kind of lightly pulling on his clothes. They don't really get to any major mauling. It kind of looks like Xana's it's kind of like Xana's feeling sorry for him. It's like, really? This is the best you got? Just, I kind of wanted more. Actually, that'd be kind of hilarious if Xana just wanted to keep this going for a little longer, but then Ulrich kind of ruined it all by getting injured, and then he's just like, you want to get up? You want to try this again? I actually kind of think that'd be hilarious. I'm not gonna lie, but the problem kind of lies in that Xana. It just doesn't feel like much. It's just It doesn't really feel like much, especially when you see the wolves start to just when you see the wolves Xana not fully taking advantage of the situation he's got. And again, it doesn't. And again. The Vertigo plot doesn't really serve the greater purpose of the story, and even the stuff with the antivirus just serves as an obstacle for deactivating the tower. It's not the major obstacle, it's just one of the obstacles. Well, okay, it probably could be seen as a major obstacle, but in this case, I'm probably gonna just go out on a limb and kind of blame Aelita a little bit, since I feel like the program was bugged. Like, they said that it worked, and it probably fixed Aelita, but the program was bugged. But the reason they had to take it away was because it was bugged. So I feel like that if they did have a bit more time, they probably could have studied it and gotten it over with. But I guess on the plus side, they have the code now. It's not because I don't think it's like with the like when they first created the devirtualization program where they don't know how they did it and it can only be used once. No, they actually have the code, meaning that now they probably could look through it and find all the bugs and fix it. So maybe they do that in later episodes. Maybe they try and go back to the code to see if they can find a way to keep it from going, but to keep it from making Aelita go nuts in the real world or screwing over her abilities on Lyoko should Xana implement an attack while they're working on it. Again, I feel like that they could do stuff. I feel like that they should at least do something like that. Otherwise, though, I feel like the episode doesn't really serve much of a purpose. It does feel it's just there, so to speak. The only plot development we got out of this episode was was Ulrich having vertigo, which doesn't really serve much for the overarching story. Maybe it'll become relevant in a later episode. And they have the antivirus now. They just got to find a way to They just got to refine it. Otherwise, the Xana plot felt like it could. The Xana plot felt kind of mundane in comparison to his other plots. The stuff. The thing the episode was named for, namely Ulrich's vertigo, doesn't really play much of a part of in the story aside from like 2 scenes that really don't do much. For everything. And again, the antivirus really was just more of felt like that took more of center stage. Felt like that took more center stage. So yeah, overall, just kind of not bad, just kind of an episode. So yeah, that's pretty much it, everyone. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week. Take care.